What if the worst thing that ever happened to you, the deepest betrayal, the most painful loss, was not a curse, but a hidden invitation? An invitation to a strength you never knew you possessed. This isn't about ignoring pain, but transforming its very nature. Imagine facing adversity not as a victim, but as a co-creator of your destiny. Or consider Epictetus, born a slave, later crippled, who taught that we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. For Epictetus, loving one's fate meant focusing on one's inner world, on virtue and reason, irrespective of external fortunes or misfortunes. His teachings emphasize this internal locus of control. So what does it truly mean to love your fate? It begins with a radical acceptance of the present moment exactly as it is, not wishing it were different, not resisting it, not lamenting it. This means acknowledging the reality of your circumstances, however unwelcome they may seem, without immediate judgment or despair. Beyond mere acceptance, Amor Fati involves seeing the interconnectedness and necessity of all events. The Stoics believed in a rational universe, a logos, where everything happens for a reason within a grand, cosmic design. Therefore, to wish for something to be different is to wish for the entire universe to be different, an illogical and futile desire. This perspective shifts events from being good or bad in an absolute sense to simply being what is. The bad events are not punishments, nor are the good ones unearned rewards. They are simply the unfolding of fate of the natural order. The challenge lies in our interpretation and response, not in the events themselves. The most radical aspect of Amor Fati, particularly emphasized by Nietzsche, is not just to bear what is necessary, still less to conceal it, but to love it. My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. The psychological benefits of such a stance are profound. Firstly, it drastically reduces suffering. Much of our anguish comes not from events themselves, but from our resistance to them, our wishing they were otherwise. When we cease this internal battle, a great deal of emotional turmoil simply dissolves. Secondly, Amor Fati cultivates immense resilience. If you can accept and even love whatever happens, then nothing can truly break you. Setbacks become lessons, obstacles become challenges to overcome with ingenuity, and pain becomes a teacher. You become antifragile, not just robust to shocks, but strengthened by them. Thirdly, it fosters a deep sense of inner peace and liberation. By aligning your will with the will of the cosmos, or with the unfolding of reality, you are freed from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. You find peace not in changing the world to fit your desires, but in changing your desires to fit the world. But how can one practically apply such a lofty ideal? One Stoic technique is premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves regularly contemplating potential misfortunes, loss, illness, betrayal, not to dwell on them morbidly, but to mentally prepare, to rehearse your virtuous response, and to appreciate what you currently have. When adversity does strike, the practice involves reframing the event. Instead of asking, "Why me?" or "This shouldn't be happening," one asks, "What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger, wiser, or more virtuous? How can I use this situation to practice my principles?" This transforms a passive experience of suffering into an active opportunity for growth. Consider the possibility that every event, no matter how challenging, holds a secret purpose, a thread in a tapestry so vast and intricate that our current perspective cannot grasp its full beauty. What if accepting this, all of this, was the key to unlocking a profound and unshakable peace, a resilience that turns obstacles into opportunities for growth? Journaling, as practiced by Marcus Aurelius, is another powerful tool. Writing down your reflections on the day's events, examining your reactions, and consciously aligning your thoughts with Stoic principles can reinforce the mindset of Amor Fati. It's a way to process experiences and cultivate a more accepting, rational perspective over time. Mindfulness of the present moment is crucial. Amor Fati is not about loving some distant, abstract fate, but about loving this moment, this experience, exactly as it is. By anchoring yourself in the present, you detach from regrets about the past and anxieties about the future, finding acceptance in the immediacy of now. It's important to distinguish amor fati from blind fatalism or passivity. It's not about giving up or resigning oneself to misery. The Stoics were men of action. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. Seneca was a statesman. Amor fati means accepting what is, and then acting with virtue and reason within those given circumstances. Do your best, then accept the outcome. The love in amor fati is not necessarily a sentimental or romantic emotion. It can be a deep, intellectual appreciation for the totality of existence, a recognition of the sublime beauty and the grand, indifferent workings of the universe. It's an affirmation that everything belongs, everything has its place, even suffering and hardship. Consider the metaphor of a play. We do not write the script nor choose our role, but we can choose to play our given part to the best of our ability, with skill, dignity, and even joy. Amor fati is like an actor falling in love with their assigned role, however tragic or comic, and performing it with all their heart, finding meaning in the performance itself. The idea of choosing your fate, or willing what happens as if you chose it, is perhaps the most challenging yet liberating aspect. It shifts you from a passive recipient of circumstances to an active affirmer of your life's narrative. If I had the power to choose my life, this perspective suggests, I would choose this life with all its trials, for these trials have made me who I am. This doesn't mean you shouldn't strive to improve things or alleviate suffering where possible. Stoicism encourages action in accordance with virtue. However, the outcome of those actions is ultimately part of fate. Amor fati applies to the results, to what actually transpires, regardless of your efforts. One common challenge is the feeling that loving fate means condoning injustice or evil. This is a misunderstanding. You can love your fate, meaning accept the reality that injustice exists, while still fighting against that injustice with all your might. Your fight becomes part of your fate, your virtuous response to what is. Another challenge is the sheer emotional difficulty. When faced with profound grief or trauma, the idea of loving that fate can seem impossible, even offensive. It's a gradual practice, a reorientation of the mind that takes time, patience, and consistent effort. It's not about suppressing emotion, but transforming your relationship to it. Think of a great river. You can fight against its current, exhausting yourself and making little progress. Or you can learn to navigate its flow, using its power to guide you, even if its destination isn't precisely what you initially envisioned. Amor fati is about learning to swim with the river of life, not against it. There exists an ancient, almost forgotten philosophy, a single, powerful idea that promises not just to help you endure life's trials, but to embrace them, to love them as if you chose them yourself. This isn't about blind optimism or naive hope. It's a radical shift in perception, a tool wielded by emperors and slaves alike to navigate the tempests of existence with grace and fortitude. Consider an artist given a limited palette of colors. They don't complain about the colors they lack. They masterfully create beauty with the colors they have. Similarly, Amor fati encourages us to create a meaningful and virtuous life with the circumstances we are given, however limited or challenging they may seem. The Stoic philosopher Seneca, who faced exile and eventually a death sentence from Emperor Nero, wrote extensively on finding tranquility amidst chaos. He emphasized that true wealth lies not in possessions, but in a mind content with what it has, and a spirit prepared for any eventuality. This is amor fati in action. The practice asks for a shift from if only thinking, if only this hadn't happened, if only I had that, to what if thinking, what if this is exactly what I need? What if this event, however painful, contains a hidden gift or lesson? This reframing is a conscious, daily discipline. When you wholeheartedly affirm your fate, you reclaim an enormous amount of energy that was previously spent on resistance, worry, and regret. This liberated energy can then be channeled into constructive action, into living more fully in the present, and into cultivating your inner virtues. It is a path to empowerment. This doesn't mean life will suddenly become easy or painless. Pain and difficulty are inherent parts of the human condition. What changes is your relationship to these experiences. They no longer have the power to crush your spirit, because your spirit has found a deeper alignment with reality itself. Amor Fati invites us to see our lives not as a series of random, disconnected events, but as a coherent, meaningful narrative, even if the meaning is not always immediately apparent. It is an act of faith in the underlying order of existence, and in our own capacity to find strength and wisdom within it. Imagine the relief of letting go of the burden of wanting things to be different. The constant striving, the frustration, the resentment, much of it stems from this fundamental mismatch between our desires and reality. Amor Fati offers an alternative: to desire what is. This ancient idea challenges our modern obsession with control and our deep-seated aversion to suffering. It suggests that true freedom comes not from bending the world to our will, but from bending our will to harmonize with the world, finding strength not in dominance, but in acceptance and affirmation. By embracing what is unchangeable, you free yourself to focus on what can be changed: your character, your responses, your actions. This is where your true power lies. Fate provides the canvas and the colors. You provide the artistry of your response. This is not a philosophy of doom and gloom, but one of profound, sober joy. It is the joy of recognizing your place in the grand scheme of things, of playing your part with excellence, and of finding meaning even in the face of hardship. It's the joy of a life lived in accordance with nature and reason. This idea challenges the very foundation of our resistance to what is. It asks us to look upon our fate in its entirety, the good, the bad, the terrifying, and to say a resounding yes. Not a yes of resignation, but a yes of affirmation, a recognition of necessity, and perhaps even of a hidden, underlying perfection. The journey towards Amor Fati is ongoing. There will be moments of resistance, of forgetting, of falling back into old patterns of complaint and regret. The practice is to gently, persistently return to acceptance, to affirmation, to loving what is. Each moment is a new opportunity to practice. Consider how this perspective could transform your daily life. Minor irritations lose their power. Major setbacks, while still painful, are met with a newfound sense of equanimity and a search for the inherent lesson or opportunity. Your emotional landscape begins to shift from reactive to creatively responsive. Relationships, too, can be transformed. By accepting others as they are, with their flaws and virtues, and by accepting the fate of your interactions with them, you can reduce conflict and cultivate deeper understanding and compassion. This doesn't mean tolerating abuse, but rather accepting the reality of the person before you. The ultimate expression of Amor Fati might be a profound gratitude for existence itself, in all its facets. Not just gratitude for the good things, but a deeper gratitude for the whole experience, for the privilege of consciousness, for the lessons learned through both joy and sorrow. This is not an easy path, nor a quick fix. It requires courage, intellectual honesty, and sustained practice. But the promise it holds is nothing less than a fundamental transformation of your experience of life, a shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to an active, joyful participant in the unfolding of your destiny. So to recap the essence, Amor Fati is the ancient Stoic and later Nietzschean ideal of loving one's fate. It means accepting all events, positive and negative, as necessary, even desirable. It's about affirming reality as if you had chosen it yourself, thereby reducing suffering and cultivating profound resilience. Key takeaways for practical application include the premeditation of adversity, reframing challenges as opportunities, journaling for self-reflection, practicing mindfulness of the present, and consciously choosing to affirm what is, rather than wishing it were different. Remember, this is active acceptance, not passive resignation. The core message is one of liberation. By wholeheartedly embracing every aspect of your circumstances as if chosen, you unlock a powerful sense of peace. This isn't about changing the world, but changing your interpretation of it and your response to it. This shift can radically alter your entire outlook on life. This ancient idea, Amor Fati, offers more than just coping mechanisms. It offers a pathway to genuine flourishing, to a life lived with purpose, courage, and a deep, abiding joy regardless of external storms. It is an invitation to dance with destiny rather than fight it. As you go forth from this exploration, consider this. What if the events of your life, the ones you've struggled against the most, are not obstacles to your path, but are the path itself? What if loving that path in its entirety is the key to unlocking your deepest potential and your most profound peace? Today, we delve into this transformative concept. We will uncover its origins, explore its profound implications, and most importantly, discover how you can begin to apply this ancient wisdom to your own life, right now, to potentially change your experience of reality forever. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about suffering and freedom. The choice, as the Stoics taught, ultimately rests with you. Will you continue to fight against the current, or will you learn to love your fate and, in doing so, find a freedom and strength you never thought possible? The power of this one ancient idea is waiting to be unlocked within your own life. The idea we speak of, often summarized in two Latin words, Amor Fati, translates to love of fate. While popularized by the 19th century philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, its deepest roots stretch back into the fertile soil of ancient Stoicism, a philosophy forged in the crucible of human experience by thinkers who faced immense personal and societal upheavals. The Stoics, practical philosophers above all, sought eudaimonia, a state of human flourishing, of living well, guided by reason and virtue. They understood that much of what happens in the external world lies beyond our direct control. Our judgments, our responses, our will, these were the domains where true freedom and power resided. Amor Fati in the Stoic context is not merely a passive acceptance but an active, even joyful affirmation of all that life brings. It is the practice of seeing every event, whether perceived as good or bad, as necessary, as part of a larger, rational order of the cosmos or providence. It's about willing what happens to happen, as if it were your own deepest desire. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who, amidst plagues, wars, and personal betrayals, wrote in his Meditations, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart." This wasn't a man insulated from suffering, but one who found strength in it.